Summer garden watering should be very personal. Shouldn't be something that you just turn on a hose and walk away. Because when you water, it gives you time to observe the plants, observe the water, the soil condition, whether it's dry to wet. You can see insects and diseases, and on top of that, it gives you a lot of time to think. That's what I like about watering. And I water real early in the morning with my vegetable garden, and I usually start out the season with a sprinkler that I can raise and lower. This particular one, I can raise it and lower it. As the plants grow, then I can pull up the stake so that it goes up and it goes down. I also water with a wand. I don't water with a nozzle. I water with a water wand because I can control where the water is going. And that's what I have to concern myself with, is watering where it is. And when you water, you flood. And flooding means to literally come in to your garden, whether it's one that's in the ground, a container, anything else, and put enough water down that you flood the bed itself. Then move on to the next bed and flood it. And then when you come back to it, then you can see whether it went all the way through and give it more water. If it's retaining too much water, then it's not level. Also, you can bury 1 gallon milk cartons with the holes in the bottom, punched in the bottom, fill that, and that's what we call French wells. You can also put your tonic right down in there. You can, to that gallon, I'd probably put 4 ounces. Or the other thing that we do is we have a thing, and we call it a Jersey well. Jersey wells are doing very nicely around vining crops. All it is a clay pot. It's already got a hole in the bottom, and I fill it full of gravel, and then I let the water in there. I can put dry fertilizer in there, or I can put the tonic in there. I also can water. But the thing is that you've got to mulch your garden in order to conserve water. You've got to plant your plants just close enough together that they don't touch, but they shade each other. You want to use enough mulch in order to hold the moisture into the soil and take care of the temperature of the soil. And another thing is using soaker hoses. And soaker hoses are merely ones that weep. They don't throw water up in the air. They don't spray it all over, because then you're losing it to the air. These go either under the mulch, in the soil, or on top, but they weep. At any rate, you want to take time when you water to pay attention and do it right and make sure that the ground is level so that no water, you're not losing a lot of water, and also it's not swale, so you're soaking plants. If you watch how you water, the plants will thrive. Staking and tying, call it supercharging your garden. That is attracting static electricity into the garden to supercharge the atmosphere that already contains 78% nitrogen. Did you ever notice your garden grows so much better, your grass and all your plants, after an electrical storm? Because the atmosphere is charged. The plants can take it in through foliar feeding, through osmosis, right away. So I give them that opportunity to charge at all times. And for instance, over row crops, I'll put wooden stakes in the ground, but I tie copper wire over the top of my row crops. I put pieces of nylon stocking in the middle of it. All of those things attract static electricity to it and make them grow better. The foliage is greener. They have more delicious, better and stronger fruit or vegetables, whatever they bear. Another thing is on vining crops like cucumbers, watermelons, any of the squashes. Use peony rings pushed way down into the ground, then bring your plant up through it. Not only is it laying on a bed of metal, but also now air circulates in underneath it. Tomatoes should always be in metal cages if they're small tomatoes. And if they're big, ones, well, they have bigger ones, stronger ones, that's fine. Again, you can put pieces of nylon stocking and tie them onto the edges of the ring. Always stake your tomatoes with metal poles, not wood. Tie them with pieces of nylon and not pieces of cotton, and especially not wire. Don't use wire on them, because nylon is strong, it's flexible, and it's soft, and it attracts static electricity. And that's what I want to do. And when you tie them to the pole, you're not punishing them. All you want to do is guide them. So always tie just below a branch, not above a branch, because then it can't continue to grow up. When you tie it just tight enough that you'll hold it in place, but not tight enough that you're going to squash it. And then what happens is, because the nylon is strong, it's flexible, it will allow it to move and to go up. If you supercharge your garden by utilizing metal objects, bed springs for watermelons, you put those down, pumpkins, wow, does it ever make them big. Along with, of course, a good feeding program and a good tonic program and a good washing program, but using the metal will supercharge your garden. Shazam! Boy, the weather report doesn't look good. It looks like we might have frost tonight, so you better be protecting your plants to extend the growing season. And it's not hard, folks. They're just simple things. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm talking to myself. And what I do is I keep around things that are going to hold frost off of my plants and hold heat in underneath. And what I'll do is use a simple layer of black and white newspaper only. A single sheet of black and white newspaper only. A little on the damp side, so you might dampen it or leave it out in the garage where it always is damp. And when the temperature is going to go to 45 degrees, there are stars in the sky and the air is clear, you better figure you're going to have frost, so you better run for it. And just put a single layer of black and white newspaper over the top of your plants, or you can take your newspaper and do what I did for Grandma Putt when I lived with her. That's the lady I write about all my books, and I started my gardening education. I used to make these hats. Remember we were kids and we'd make these soldier hats? Well, what I made them for was to go over the top of the peppers and the cucumbers and any of the, and the second row planting that was going in. Always did that. Another thing, you can buy what we call floating row cover. It's sold in almost any single garden center, and it's just light and airy. In the spring of the year, we use it over the top of seeds or seedlings, and it grows up with them. But when you drop it over the top of plants when frost is coming in or cold weather, it will hold up to 26 degrees. That much of a problem that saves. Or you can take milk, you can take and cut the bottoms out of milk cartons or plastic containers, leave the lid off, and just put it over the top of plants, and now you got a mini greenhouse. Or you can take on your tomato plants, and they're inside of their tomato cages, just put plastic around them, and when the frost is coming, flip down the lid so that the frost can't get in. Then the next morning, just open it up after 10 o'clock in the morning. You can take most of these covers off then. Let air circulation, ventilation in. That way you're protecting all of your plants that have worked so hard all summer long, trying to give you the best that they possibly can to extend the season so you can enjoy each other's company that much longer.